So hey, this is Dennis with Home Rehab Pros. I hope everything is good with you and your family. Have you ever had kitchen cabinets that just wouldn't close right? Maybe they've started to move a little bit and hang a little crooked, or the doors would start to hang on each other and they just wouldn't close. Just to give you an idea, let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see this door doesn't really even close. Okay, it doesn't close all the way. The other doors are closed. And if you look at it, it's crooked. There's even a gap over on this side. Now let's take a look at another issue. You see that door? It just keeps hitting. It won't close completely. Well, how do you fix that? And what do you do about it? So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to fix these two doors so that they close correctly, meet correctly, they sit there level and plumb, and you don't have a problem with it. And in most kitchen cabinets, this is not a difficult repair. This is Dennis with Home Rehab Pros. If you have a challenge like this at your home or in your kitchen, I know you can just do this. So in fact, let's just do it together now so you can see how easy it is to adjust those doors on your cabinets. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have the right equipment. Now for this upper cabinet, okay, we need a ladder. And that's the ladder that I'm going to use. And I have to be careful. Anytime you climb up on a ladder, you want to be careful that you don't fall. But this gives a good landing here, solid standing point, and I should be able to get up plenty high enough to do what I need to do. On the lower cabinet, I really don't need that. And all I really need is this one simple Phillips head screwdriver to repair this cabinet. So let's take a closer look at this cabinet and let's see exactly what's going on. Now you can see a screw there. Now see how that gaps. If I loosen it a little more, it'll actually show you how that's built. Now not all cabinets are built this way. Sometimes the more modern ones, the newer ones, because these are a few years old, they have a different type of hinge system. But you know what? There are a lot of cabinets that are still built this way, and so you've got this hinge that's got this groove there, and that fits right over the top of the door, and it slides right in there. And you can see it's adjustable, so you can actually adjust that however you want. However you want. If putting it in here is what makes that door plumb and close correctly, that's what you do. But I'm gonna push it all the way in there, and then basically all you really do is you just tighten that up. Don't be afraid to really torque it down, because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna torque it down really good. I'm gonna put some pressure to it. Okay, so now what you see is that it doesn't move. I'm exerting pressure on the top. It doesn't move. Okay, and I want to do the same thing with that bottom hinge. Now let's just make sure the bottom hinge is nice and tight, and it is. So now let's review and see how that affected the door and its ability to close and stay closed correctly. So let's take a closer look. All right, so that door closed exactly like it was supposed to. There is no gap. Everything is good. Okay, it looks just like every other cabinet, and I think we're good. So now let's take a look at this other cabinet. So again, the best way to handle that is we're gonna push that in, just so it's that way, and we're gonna tighten it. Give it a good torque to tighten it, make sure it's tight. Now let's see how that closes now. Closes exactly like we want it to close. Let's get a further picture. Okay, so there you go. Closes nice. The reveal in the middle is even. And so we fixed that cabinet. So we were able to fix those doors, and now they close pretty good. They don't hit each other. They're nice and plumb and level. But sometimes there's other issues, maybe even with the poles. So what am I talking about with the pole? This, a lot of people call that a handle. It's a handle. It really is a handle. But in our industry, at least in where I live, we call this a pole. It can come as a handle like this. It can come as a knob. You know, it can come with a piece of trim or a cover plate like this one has, or it can just attach right to the door without that piece of trim. Let me show you how we take this apart and how we would fix it if it was loose and how we would put it back on. So I'm going to take this off actually so you can see exactly what I mean. Okay, so we bring it out and you can see, you know, there's two screws. I don't know how well you can see them there, but there's two screws. They're Phillips, so I'm just going to take them off. Okay, they loosen up pretty good, and I can actually take them off with my thumb and finger. And then I just want to make sure I don't lose them. Okay, they're just little screws. See, that's all they are. This is the handle or the pole, and I'm not going to. And here's the cover plate, just a piece of trim. Okay, so there it is. So how do we put this back on? Let's say I took it off, I had to repair something, or I had to tighten it up, and I want to make sure that we're good with this. Okay, so I usually start by putting the screws back in the hole where they belong. And I'll show you in a minute what that looks like on the other side of the door. Okay, so you should be able to see them. There they are. They're protruding through the door. And now I just, in holding those screws on the back, I put the cover plate on. And there's the hole for the screw, top and bottom. And I just put that cover plate right as I hold those screws. Make sure they go right through there. Okay, so now the screws are exposed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this. I'm going to put this on the top of. I'm going to do the top screw first, and I'm going to hold it on that screw, and then I'm just going to screw it in a little bit. Just get it to start those threads on that top. And sure enough, I did. So now I'm going to do the same on the bottom. I'm going to get that bottom up in there. I'm going to just make sure that I get that caught in the threads, and I did. So that handle's now in both screws are caught in the threads. Now I'm just going to tighten it. All right, and if you're dealing with a loose pole or you just want to change poles on your cabinets, this isn't hard to do. Okay, in another video I'll show you how do you measure for those holes to make sure that it fits and that you don't have a problem with damaging your cabinet. So I'm going to torque those down nice. And there you go. The pull is on. It's repaired. If it needed to be repaired, that one didn't. I just wanted to show you exactly what happens. So there you have it. So let's talk about this for just a couple minutes. You know, these are very easy adjustments to make. Now you may be thinking, hey, you know, the cabinet that I have, I opened it up and that hinge doesn't look like what Dennis had. And that's very possible. There are all kinds of different cabinet hinges. You could even have like a barn door hinge where there's no adjustments, it just opens back and forth, or like a gate hinge. You can get those really small like that. But if you have a normal cabinet hinge, whether it looks like the one I have, or whether it's a newer type of a model, there are always adjustment screws that you can use. So remember, if you loosen a screw and the door kind of falls in on you, don't worry. There's a slot there. There's a way you can reattach that cabinet, and then you can tighten that screw. And you can move that door back and forth to get it exactly where you want it so that that door closes correctly. It doesn't hit the other door. It's nice and plumb. And then, of course, learning how to tighten your pulls so that those are all good. It's very simple. So if you have a project like that at your home, don't hesitate to do it. Just get that screwdriver, make sure you have the right tool, make sure you have the right type of ladder. Be safe, but just do it. I know you can. You know, this is Dennis with Home Rehab Pros. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit of something. If you didn't, I hope you at least enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. It helps us considerably. And please give us that thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I hope everything is good with you and your family. And again, this is Dennis with Home Rehab Pros, and we'll see you in the next video.